Hi, I'm Jen Lehman, co-founder of Property Elite, Chartered Surveyor and APC Assessor. At Property Elite, we provide training and support for the APC, Asset RICS and FRICS qualifications. We cover all routes, pathways and geographic regions via our team of specialist consultants and trained assessors. This also includes the senior professional, specialist, academic and direct entry routes. In today's podcast, we're going to summarise what you need to know about the new RICS guidance note, Valuation of Properties in Multi-Storey, Multi-Occupancy Residential Buildings with Cladding, First Edition. This is essential listening for any candidates who are involved in valuing residential property, particularly in relation to the valuation and loan security valuation competencies. You can download a copy of the guidance note from the RICS website. It is supported by a supplementary information paper. You can find copies of both with links on our website blog. The new guidance note applies from the 5th of April 2021. The aim is to assist valuers when valuing multi-storey, multi-occupancy residential buildings, i.e. blocks of flats with cladding, particularly for secured lending, mortgage purposes. It specifically provides criteria that can be used by a competent valuer during a standard valuation inspection to identify buildings where remediation work to cladding for fire safety purposes that may materially affect the value of the property is likely to be required. The guidance will help valuers to understand the EWS1 form process and when one of these will be required due to visible cladding being present. It will also help other stakeholders to understand the process of buying and selling affected buildings. It should be noted that the guidance note does not apply to residential houses, which are individual terraces, semi-detached or detached, bungalows or non-domestic developments. Cladding within the guidance note is defined as a method of enclosing a building externally by the attachment of finishing materials spanning between given points of support on the face of the building. Some examples include aluminium composite material, ACM, brick slips, high-pressure laminate, metal composite material, and timber. There are a number of external wall systems excluded from the guidance notes, including masonry panel construction, traditional cavity wall construction, timber frame buildings with a brick, block or stone outer leaf, concrete panels and stone panels. So what is an EWS1 form? This requires a competent fire expert to provide information about whether remedial works are likely to be required for a building with affected cladding. This allows the valuer and lender in turn to assess the impact on value. Previously, there's been a lack of specific criteria about when remedial work to cladding or balconies may affect value. RICS addressed this in the guidance note by setting out criteria when an EWS1 form is required and resultant remediation works to the cladding or balconies may affect value materially. For buildings over 6 storeys, an EWS1 form should be required where there is cladding or curtain wall glazing on the building, or there are balconies which stack vertically above each other and either both the balustrades and decking are constructed with combustible materials, for example timber, or the decking is constructed with combustible materials and the balconies are linked directly by combustible material. For buildings of 5 or 6 storeys, a form should be required where there is a significant amount of cladding on the building. There are ACM, MCM or HPL panels on the building, or there are balconies which stack vertically above each other and either both the balustrades and decking are constructed with combustible materials or the decking is constructed with combustible materials and the balconies are directly linked by combustible materials. For buildings of 4 storeys or fewer, a form should be required where there are ACM, MCM or HPL panels on the building. It should be noted that metal cladding and ACM or MCM are visually very similar. So, if metal panel cladding is present, the valuer should confirm with the building owner or managing agent in writing that they are not ACM or MCM, or if confirmation cannot be obtained, an EWS1 inspection should be requested. There are a number of scenarios where an EWS1 is not required. For example, a building over 18 metres has a valid building control certificate, or the building owner has met the advice in the government's consolidated advice note. Valuers should ensure they record full site notes and justification for their decision in relation to the requirement for an EWS1 form. It should also be noted that the presence or not of an EWS1 form does not confirm that there are no fire or life safety risks. So how does a valuer establish further if an EWS1 form is required? There's some really useful tools on the RICS website, including an EWS1 decision tree and a number of in-depth case studies. So finally, how can valuers manage risk and liability around this issue? Valuers need to ensure that their valuation reports are clear and transparent in relation to the liabilities they assume. RICS provide recommended wording in the guidance note, section 3, which valuers should adopt in their reports to reflect various scenarios. For example, if an EWS1 form is requested or not requested. RICS also recommend that valuers include a disclaimer within their terms of engagement relating to the valuation of affected buildings. Suggested wording is again included in the guidance note. If in doubt, valuers should speak to their professional indemnity insurance broker or provider and/or a legal advisor to ensure that they have sufficiently managed the risk and liability of the work they undertake. That's it for today's podcast. Remember, you can book in your free 15-minute consultation via our website. We can also provide feedback on your referral or prelim review report. If you head to our website, you can also access our other free support resources, including our ebook guides, podcasts, videos, quizzes, blog, and CPD newsletter. We can't wait to work with you, so thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week.